Today on the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast, we are getting to some feedback that we haven't been getting to in a while. We tangent. You know how it goes. All that aboard of this that we have no control over.
It's an all tangent episode. Nothing
all
but
tangents, baby. All the tangents, all the time.
Welcome to the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast. My name's Matthew Carroll.
And I'm Tangent Jeff. Whoa, no, wait. Let me do another one. And I'm Jeff Tangent Maker Randall. No, they call me the Tangent Man.
Tangerine Man. No, that doesn't work.
Nope. Tangerine Man. Nope.
Tangential Jeff.
Tangential Jeff.
That, like, it diminishes you somehow. It's like, oh, that Jeff, he's just tangential.
Yep.
I love it.
Man, we're all just vectors in our lives, you know?
Yeah, man. It's you hit your nexus eventually and you tangent away from
just
your
tangent.
own
I break through red
timeline.
lines like it's nothing.
Yeah. It's like your superpower. The TVA has no hold on you. Our conversations are like
They tried to prune me.
Yeah.
They got pruned.
The MCU cast, unprunable.
Unprunable. The U actually stands for unprunable.
Oh, gosh. Golly, what? I don't know if the mic picked that up, but I'm just knocking stuff over. I'm sitting at my desk, and I just keep knocking stuff over. Like, I don't know what's going on with me. I think, like, you know, like when the doctor asks you when you come in, and it's like a question they always ask, have you fallen down lately or whatever?
You're right.
Or how many times have you fallen down lately?
Dizzy lately?
Well, and it's just like, the question is gauging if you're having, like, inner ear problems, or if you're getting weak in some way. I feel like knocking stuff over on my desk like 6 times since I sat down is like a symptom of some neurological problem.
Yeah. I haven't fallen over, but I have been knocking off everything from my desk. It's really difficult to fall over when I'm sitting, but like I take out my desk on a regular basis.
Yeah, I don't fall over because I haven't been standing much. Is that a problem, doctor? You mean you don't recommend sitting 80 hours a week? Oh, sorry.
Oh,
sorry. That's a computer life for you.
I'm doing it all wrong.
Doing it all wrong. Okay, well, we're living up to our tangent name episode.
I told you. I knew what was coming.
Let's give points for when we read these feedbacks. Who can get off of the topic the smoothest but the fastest?
Oh man, I feel like it's like a fantasy draft kind of thing for like what do we think that we're going to tangent about today?
Yeah.
Like what tangent are we going to go off on? It's like a bingo game.
Yeah, the betting markets are open, everybody.
Yeah. Who had old age and falling over? Who had lack of exercise?
That's not uncommon themes when you and I get together.
I know, right?
I've actually been exercising a ton this week, but it's kind of, and it's sort of funny. Yeah, and I know you have too. It's funny. We do tend to do that. We tend to be on this like we're both working out or we're both completely off the wagon. But this week for you got a fancy new workout device, which I'm
paid way
sure
too much money for that fancy workout device.
Yeah,
but
it's cool though. It's very cool.
It's super cool.
But my niece is doing roller derby.
Oh yeah,
she's also in trouble, and so because she did a very bad thing at school.
Sure,
I won't elucidate
Don't spill
that
the tea on the air, but tell me later.
She did a bad thing at school, and like she's in trouble. She's in school suspension, and so we are letting her have no fun, and we're like making her run sprints when she does something that's like disobedient or thoughtless or whatever. We're like going a hard crackdown this week to just like no fun at all, nothing. Just trying to make her like register the wrong thing was wrong,
Sure.
Like other weeks we've taken away her devices for a day or two, or even a week if it was bad enough. But like, we're like, you've got to, we got to start giving like like actual negative reinforcement. Yeah, like actual like, all right, you run sprints, do it. Like it's, I feel like a friggin' coach.
I'm gonna make you vomit today.
Yeah.
Teach you how bad you were.
But she's also started roller derby, and she wants to get good, so they gave her a list of exercises to do for like roller derby specific exercises. So on top of running sprints, and I sometimes run them with her, she has to do all these roller derby exercises, and like, she's never really exercised before because she's young. She's never really done like formal exercising. So like, she doesn't. So I'm having to like teach her all the exercises. So I'm getting a ton of workout just like doing these roller derby exercises because she can't. So I'm in the backyard like looking like I'm training for roller derby. I'm doing these like stand on one foot and doing these like roller derby stances and stuff. Like,
oh, you're going to be a ref.
Yeah, for sure.
I love it.
Yeah, it's been pretty great.
Yeah, you wanted to push back the episode today, and I was like, cool. I can do my workout before the cast instead of after, because like last week when I did it after, pre-workout kept me up all freaking night, so I like couldn't get up in the morning. So I was like, cool, let me do that before. But then now I'm like super sweaty, and my shoulders are freaking sore. So sore. It was shoulder day, and that's like the worst day.
Yeah, shoulder day's rough.
But anyway, we tangented again.
We did. We warned everybody, and I promise we'll get to something Marvel in a second. I promise.
Yeah, it's been 7 minutes, but
we will. We're about to talk about a Marvel thing. But you got a like you could say how it works, but you got like a magic workout device.
Yeah. It's you've probably seen ads for it all over the place. But it's a little 80-pound platform that provides resistance via electromagnetic motors or electromagnet device in it. It's got like ropes and pulleys and whatnot, but it can provide up to 440 total pounds of resistance.
Yeah, but it's just a little platform. It's 80 pounds, but it's like
teensy little platform.
That's the crazy, because I've seen like this provides a lot of force through pulleys, but they're still like large and have like things over your head and stuff. But this is just like a little platform. It looks like the Wii Fit or something, but it's like,
oh my god, it does. It looks like the balance board.
It looks like the balance board from Wii Fit, but it has like 400 and something pounds of resistance. Like, that's crazy. That's really cool.
Yeah, it looks like Wii Fit, but I'm doing deadlifts on it.
Yeah,
and whoa, my back was wrecked yesterday.
Yeah, I want one.
They're not cheap.
Yeah, I won't be getting one.
I had to go through a payment plan, and I'm still not sure that was a good idea.
Yeah, they definitely like advertise it that way. Which, I mean, like, I guess if you're a gym rat and you're like gonna swap, like maybe you're saving the gym money, but I don't know. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Well, so Marvel.
That's not the ad we have today.
Yeah, that's not the ad we have today. I just thought it was cool. So Marvel. That's what this show's about, right? The MCU.
Right, I think so. The unprunable.
The unprunable MCU. We, it so sounds like a comic book, like the unprunable MCU hosts or whatever. Like, that's our team.
Yeah. Like the Spectacular Spider-Man.
Exactly. Unprunable Spider-Man.
The unprunable.
That would be really good. The unprunable Spider-Man being chased by the TVA.
Oh, get on it, Marvel.
Get on it. I'll write it. Let's write it. Let's write it and send it in.
Let's write it right now. Let's pitch that.
Yeah. Okay. Lord Tangent Day. I like this. Like, normally we try to stay on and we tangent anyway. Today we jokingly gave ourselves a license, and now we literally haven't talked about anything for 10 minutes. This is quite the show.
I love it. This is the way.
This is the way.
We need to do this more.
But still, you do have to cover your face in shame, though.
Yeah.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Okay, so the Marvel thing. The only real news we had was that Marvel announced that in 2024 they will be showing Echo, X-Men 97, and Agatha. So those are the 3 shows that will premiere in 2024. They didn't say for sure that's the only shows. They might add some to the schedule. But those are the 3 shows that we know are on the schedule for 2024. Yep. Which we kind of knew.
Yeah, like that's not really news. It's just confirmed.
Yeah, we knew they were late in the process on all three of those projects, and we had a release date for Echo, but the other two were late in the process. We figured they were 2024, but there were a lot of things that we were kind of maybe not. So we still are kind of in the same place, but at least we have 3 confirmed shows now. Those of you who haven't done your drafts yet, you get an advantage over us on the show. We talked about it on Multiverse News last night, and Haley was like, "Can we redo our drafts?"
Echo comes out in 5 weeks.
I know, dude.
All of the episodes.
After Loki, it felt like we were like, "Oh man, the shows are over. We're gonna get this break.
There's nothing coming.
We're about to hit one of the busiest seasons for this show we've ever had."
Yep, because we got an episode per day starting 2 weeks from now.
Yeah, well, before that, we just did Captain America. Then we're going to do Avengers and
Iron Man
3 in the next 2 weeks so that we can get Iron Man 3 for Christmas, because that's the best Christmas present you can give yourself. And then you got to make those skeptical faces vocally, Jeff. It's a podcast.
Oh, sorry. I don't know.
Then we're hitting stride with everyday what if episodes.
Yep.
Then, after all that is over, it'll almost be time for Echo to drop, which is dropping all at once, and we'll have like 5 or 6 episodes in a row to do. I don't know exactly how we're going to cover that yet, but it likely will be something like that every day or every other day, something like that. It's going to be chaos. Pretty excited about it.
Yeah, pretty excited about this upcoming chaos.
Mm-hmm. And then silence for way too long. Silence on the MCU front.
Yeah.
Given the amount of empty space we're going to have this year, I'm like kind of mad at them for dropping Echo all at once.
Right? Like spread it out. Come on.
Yeah.
Like,
this year of all years.
We're waiting until May? We're waiting until May for the first movie?
Wait, is it May? I thought it was in November.
I thought, didn't Deadpool move up to May?
No, I think they moved it again. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it moved back. There was some in the news like last week, 2 weeks ago. Release date. I'd have to. Yeah, right now
July.
It's July is what it's
July
saying.
26th. What the hell?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we're only getting 2 Marvel movies this year. Won't be until July. So we're going to have a real big gap. We're going to have to do a lot of fun episodes in there. I'm really hoping to get like really fun and creative with the episodes this year instead of kind of like just rolling with what's there, because there's not going to be much there. So
yeah.
But yeah, it's going to be wild.
Man, we might actually get through all of our feedback.
Maybe just the Loki stuff. If we work all year. Oh, man. Well, speaking of feedback, you want to hit a couple feedbacks?
Sure. Let's see.
Let's do it.
We're doing
speaking kind of non-aligned feedbacks. There might be spoilers for various things. Could spoil anything in the MCU that's been out so far. So be warned. But mostly just covering kind of random feedback that we've gotten that wasn't specific.
Yeah, this is our random stuff. And hey, speaking of the Captain America rewatch.
Yeah.
Chris Metzloff, one of our patrons, said, "Did y'all catch Jeff using the term spaghettified in the 2015 repost of Captain America rewatch? Right at the 7-minute mark. Jeff is a variant."
I think
not a variant.
He's a variant of Kang, I think is what he's getting at. You are the new Kang variant that came back from the future and is corrupting the timeline.
You know what? I'm okay with that.
Yeah, you should be.
I'd play that part.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
They can just, do me up in CGI, and I can just, I'm basically just a voice actor at that point.
Yeah. But no, that was really funny that you used spaghettified after 7 minutes minutes into the
It is
episode.
A legitimate term in, like, physics. In astrophysics, the spaghettification is a thing.
Mm-hmm. I know it.
And it doesn't look the way that it looks in Loki.
No. That their spaghettification is something very more spaghetti-like than the real thing.
Yeah, well, their spaghettification looks like they got instantly grated.
Yes,
like
through a pasta maker,
shredded. Yeah, like through a pasta maker,
mm-hmm.
pastified.
Well, but yeah. So, and I remember when they brought up spaghettification on Loki, you were like, "Oh yes, it's a term," and like I've heard it before too, but you were very much like wanting to like talk about what it meant and stuff. And I think Ashley, if I remember correctly, Ashley was like, "Whatever, this is all fake. Whatever."
She does that.
She was not into it.
She does that. She did that Philly thing where she's like, "I don't want to hear it, fucking nerd."
Oh yeah, but thanks Chris for calling that out, because I definitely would have forgotten to mention it. But I thought that was pretty cool too when I went back to listen. It's funny, I always go back to listen, but I don't want to listen to the old episode till we've recorded the new one. But I always listen to it to make sure that there's nothing like I need to work out or edit out. Or sometimes we're like talking about news from 2015, like for an hour, and then we talk about the movie and stuff like that. So I tried to like cut it out and I always try to make it a little more digestible.
Trim the fat a little bit.
Trim that fat up a little bit. Speaking of the Vitruvian, no, I'm just kidding.
Oh my God. Casey Elizabeth, another of our patrons, says, if any pandas have dreams about enjoying a banana split America's ass style, they will blame you. And I never noticed Red Skull's science daddy issues until you guys pointed it out on the Cap rewatch. More evidence supporting attorney Jen Walters' daddy issues in the MCU argument.
Yeah.
Also, Avengers is next. We all get tickets to ride the Avengers thirst train with Ash and the rest of you. Take my bus pass and sign me up.
Yeah, Ash has been, that's really great that KT is excited to be on the thirst train with Ashley, because like Ashley's been excited to cover these movies. We've been talking about doing this rewatch for years at this point. We've finally been working our way through it this last year, and now we're really moving because we're trying to like really fill these gaps between content with good stuff. And like it's just funny that like we watched all these movies, we talked about them all, but like we've never had Ashley's thirst component like there to really like
yeah, that we were missing that secret ingredient.
Yeah, to bring up things like the banana split scene. That never would have occurred to us.
Yeah, and it's not something that was ever on my radar.
Not a tangent we would have dived into on our own.
I'm trying to portmanteau banana and tangent.
Banangent.
And I just don't like it. I just don't like how it sounds.
I love how both sound. Banangent and Tangana both sound pretty good.
Oh, Tangana! Yes! But that sounds like a banana-shaped tangerine.
Oh yeah. It definitely like
a Tangana.
That's actually that would be the weirdest fruit, but I'm into it. I would like a Tangana.
Or would that be a Tangerana?
Yeah, that probably so.
These are the conversations you desperately need in your life.
That's right. You know what else you desperately need in your life?
What's that?
If you're a drinker, like I am. Listen, I am. I'm a drinker. I'm not saying like...
I like how you own it. You lean into it.
I do. I live in bars. Like, I really do. And I know there's a lot of people out there who like... And I mean, I work. I'm a musician. I'm in bars every night. People handing me drinks. There are people that have jobs. And like, you got to drink responsibly, of course. But part of being an adult is having an adult beverage here and there, if it's your thing. And if it is your thing, you got to try Z-Biotics. Z-Biotics is the maker of the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. And let me tell you, it is the time of year for this probiotic. We all have holiday parties, then we're expected to go right back to work. We got holiday parties, and then the next day we got to deal with family. You don't want to be in that funk that you can sometimes find yourself in after a day of having a few drinks. The way Z-Biotics works is you have the Z-Biotic first as your first drink of the night. You drink responsibly, pace yourself, hydrate, all those good things. And then step 3, you just enjoy tomorrow because you will just feel better. Z-Biotic's pre-alcohol probiotic drink is the world's first genetically engineered probiotic. It was invented by PhD scientists to tackle rough mornings after drinking. Here's how it works. When you drink, alcohol gets converted to a toxic byproduct in the gut. It's this byproduct, not dehydration, that's to blame for your rough next day. ZBiotics pre-alcohol probiotic produces an enzyme to break this byproduct down. Just remember to make ZBiotics pre-alcohol your first drink of the night. Drink responsibly, and you'll feel your best tomorrow. What do you think of ZBiotics, Jeff?
Oh, I absolutely love it. I've got my my array of little vials right here in front of me, because I mean, we do Legends and Libations, and we drink responsibly, wink, a lot. We imbibe, and it used to be whenever we did Legends and Libations and I didn't have ZBiotics beforehand, I would need a couple of days of recovery. But now, like, I'm up and moving about the next day like it's nothing.
That's awesome,
like,
man.
Almost like I didn't even drink anything.
Yeah, it really does make you feel better the next day. And honestly, this is also a great gift. If it's just really cool. They're these little bitty potion-like bottles.
I love that the little vials are like, they kind of make me feel like The Witcher. Like I'm taking the mutagen, and like my eyes are going to go black, and like I'm going to have really good reflexes. But instead, it's just I don't feel like a zombie the next day.
Yeah. It's they're cool little bottles that make you feel like you're taking a potion, and I do love that about it.
Usually when you have something that's like really good for you or supposed to counteract something, or like, in some way be a magic potion like this, they generally taste awful. These do not. These do not taste awful.
Yeah.
They really honestly don't even taste like anything, which is like awesome.
I feel like they do taste like something, but like it feels like you're taking a shot. Like you're taking your first shot of the night. You know what I mean? Like you're like, all right,
yeah,
taking a shot before all the other shots I'm going to have that people are going to hand me while I'm on stage. You don't want to be rude. You don't want to be rude.
Yeah, you can't turn it down.
Yeah.
You remember that musician? He turned my shot down.
People really will get annoyed and mad. This holiday season, give your friends and family a gift they will actually want and use with ZBiotics. Go to zbiotics.com/MCU to get 15% off your first order when you use MCU at checkout. ZBiotics is backed with a 100% money-back guarantee, so if you're unsatisfied for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. Remember to head to zbiotics.com/MCU and use the code MCU at checkout for 15% off. Thank you, ZBiotics, for sponsoring this episode and our good times.
So many good times.
So many. Speaking of good times, you know what else would be a good time? This next feedback.
Yo! Good time Timothy, one of our patrons.
That's what they call him. Good time. What?
Yeah. Timothy Castillo, good time Timothy. Come on. He says, hello again, magical people, but he spelled Madge, M-A-J, because Matt, Ashley, Jeff.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, magical. Because like Jamical wouldn't.
Nope.
Yeah, whatever. I love it. So love this last cast between Jeff and Matt. Victor Timely wasn't planted into his timeline from what the show is telling us. He just gets the book. The idea that Kang is seeding other Kangs is just headcanon, and I think maybe pulling from the comics, right? Not to get too much further into some headcanon that isn't actually in the MCU, since Doctor Strange was looking at all these different timelines, did he see those other timelines get pruned if Tony doesn't die? And he just kept it to himself because he understood that changing the timeline would get them all pruned. Have a great passage of time, Tim. See? Good time, Tim.
That was a good time indeed. Okay. Victor Timely. He says Victor Timely wasn't planted in into his timeline.
From what the show is telling us.
Sure. The show never says that.
Yeah, Timothy is coming at us with some like it's that like view of like if it's never said then it didn't happen.
Right. And it is,
and we're like if it's
said.
Never said then it could have happened.
Yes, it is headcanon for sure. But how?
We never meet his parents. We never meet Victor Timely's family,
right?
At all.
Well, and the question is, how did he get there? He is a Kang variant. He has the right temporal aura to go through this thing. So how is he there if the version of Kang that was in the multiversal war was born in the 31st century and had all these battles and stuff? How is Victor Timely back in the 1800s? How did he end up there? Unless the 31st century thing was a lie and he's always been an 1800s dude who somehow creates time travel later in life and then becomes the 31st century Kang variant guy. But like, I just, it seems to me that it is likely he is not where he's supposed to be.
Yeah. I feel like I don't want to say it's like, it's obvious, but it kind of feels like based on what they've said, implied. That's the only way. That's the only way that it could all be true. You know?
The only other way I can think of to make it make sense, if I'm trying to like make Timothy's version make sense, or like a different version, like come up with it. There could be other headcanons out there. There could be other ways it would make sense. But here's my only other thing I could pop in at this moment is like, I had that conversation about why put him in the 1800s. And it was because he would live and die with no technology, not enough technology, just the right amount of technology that Kang needed. That was kind of my speculation throughout. What if we know that different versions of Spider-Man, Peter Parker Spider-Man, were born at different times. They're different ages in No Way Home. So a person can be born at a different time. There's also, in the What If series we're about to see, there's like a 1600s version of the Avengers. Like, there can be fluxy time things with different characters being born at different times in the time stream somehow. It doesn't really make sense by the butterfly effect of it all, but it does apparently happen. Neither is a paint universe, but that still exists, right? Like, so... I mean, that can make sense though, because it could be like that. Whatever, some event happened that caused that. Some magic happened that caused the paint universe. Whatever. My point is, it is possible that there is a version of the universe where Victor Timely is the variant of Kang in that universe, and he was born in the 1800s, and that is the version of the timeline that Kang chose to preserve, because it preserved a Victor Timely, a version of Kang that could do his bidding if needed, but it is not a 31st century megamaniacal, powerful version of Kang.
Oh, yeah, I see what you're saying, where, like, He Who Remains specifically chose timelines that would not necessarily interact with each other or divert too much.
Right.
And, like, kind of put those together through the loom so that they could happen, where that Victor Timely version was hanging out in one of them.
Well, and then we get to that question of what is the sacred timeline again, which is like, it says it's a sacred timeline. Like, this is the version of events how it is supposed to happen. But we know that there has to be some variance allowed, as we saw the loom stitching them all together.
Well, what if that sacred timeline is just the proper amalgam of timelines that fit together without colliding and destroying each other?
Because
they kind of like zipper teeth.
You answered your own question. Why isn't the sacred timeline multiple timelines? Like, it just semantically doesn't make sense. But like,
sure,
I understand that that's how it looks on the screen. I mean, literally, this is the conversation we've been having since the first episode of Loki, and they really have never answered it and have only made it more confusing as it's gone on. Because clearly, Sylvie, was like, 6 or 7 years old when she was first tracked down. So she was allowed to go on the timeline for 6 or 7 years before she diverted too much that they needed to prune her timeline, right? Like, there are different variances within that are allowed. And I just don't know what makes something cross the red line, what makes something become a tangent threat. That's right, guys. We're still in the tangent episode.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, it's strange. It's strange the way that works. I don't know. And like, we've all talked for another thing, kind of going off to these things. We've all talked about like maybe that Kang has been preserving his own timeline, like he fought to preserve his own timeline, and that's the timeline. But this version that I'm just talking about, where what if Victor Timely's version is the ones he's preserving, like that's a completely different take. We've all been kind of assuming that he's preserving his own because that seems to make sense. Like he fought for his own timeline, but no, he could be a Kang. I'm talking about He Who Remains specifically. Could be a version of Kang who won the multiversal war, and then he's just sitting atop the hill of like, I've won the universe. Now I get to pick and choose what I want the universe to look like, and he has designed it. So even if he didn't put Victor Timely there, he still put Victor Timely there because he designed the entire timeline by like plucking things and changing things over time.
Right. Or he specifically curated it such that Victor Timely was a part of that.
Exactly. Using the TVA as his instrument.
See, and the thing that like really irks me about all this, more than anything, is the whole like time moves differently in the TVA
right.
sort of thing. Like, oh yeah, time works differently. You shouldn't be able to time slip. There is no forward or back or whatever. But clearly there is.
Yeah, clearly there is a sequence of events. So time has to exist.
Time has to exist in the TVA.
Pitch Meeting, which is a great YouTube thing. If you guys don't watch Pitch Meeting, it's really funny. There's a YouTube channel, and the guy does pitch meetings for shows after they come out. And he was talking. He did Loki season 2, I think today or yesterday it dropped, and he was like, "Well, we're gonna say that time moves differently in the TVA." He's like, "What does that mean?" It means we can do whatever we want from now on.
Sure. But like, obviously there is a timeline, right? There is a sequence of events that makes a timeline happen. Like, what if this He Who Remains, he's sitting in the Citadel, which is the remnant of his universe after the multiversal war, and like the sacred timeline is just the closest other one, or something like the closest other few or whatever that are being kind of strung into something that like we can see while still existing here in the timeline of his universe. But like a pocket, sort of like what happened with Doctor Strange, Superior Strange in What If, where he's like in his little bubble verse. Sort of like that, except He Who Remains on the little planet with like the TVA as a part of it. Because like time still happens, and time would still happen for Doctor Strange.
Yeah.
Or Superior Strange. Like, you get what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
It's that the sacred timeline is like, it's that verse right there, just doing the best so that it doesn't collide with ours.
Yeah, and clearly, like, that it is there's something going on where they are. I mean, like, if time doesn't exist, you can't have a conversation. You know what I mean? Like, you can't.
Yeah.
Like if there's no sequence of events, then like Loki can't say to him and then back to Sylvie, and then they can't have a fight. Like no events don't make sense without time, which is why time has to exist on the show. But what does it mean that time works differently? That's such a. It's like the classic
so hand wavy.
It's so hand wavy. It's the classic God works in mysterious ways, like that catch all for like anything that doesn't make sense in whatever you're talking about religiously. Like, well, God works in mysterious ways. No, like time works differently in the TVA. Like it's that same sort of logic, and I'm okay with it because the show is great, and the show's, even if the time travel logic is sound enough that we can like hand wave it and have fun with it and discuss all these little possibilities, but it doesn't close off the possibilities.
It's that suspension of disbelief. Like it's you just got to hang that disbelief up just a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
Just put that one thing on the coat hook, and then we can go have a great time.
Yeah. And which brings us back to Good Time Timothy over here, who said, I also asked about whether Doctor Strange, when he was looking at the 14 million timelines, whether he saw the TVA stopping all the other timelines, and that the one that we see him hold his finger up about was the one where the TVA didn't show up.
Yeah, I mean that makes the most sense.
It does. It does.
Well, it's either that everybody dies, and he wouldn't see past that anyway.
Yeah.
Or they win the wrong way, and the TVA shows up.
Right. Well,
and
that's the question, is like, when he looks into the future of his options for what the timeline could look like, and he is seeing these, like, using the time stone to see all the ways the timeline could go, is he being intercepted? This is so weird to talk about. Is his thinking about the timelines branching in a way, does that cause the TVA in his brain to show up? Or can he view a timeline that never existed? Can he look at the timeline that would have been if the TVA doesn't show up? Is that what he's saying? And it's like, there's no way we can know the answer to that. It works either way. Yeah, maybe he kept it to himself because that's some multiversal threat that he's going to have to deal with next Thursday. But like, today he's dealing with Thanos, and he's like, well, so for the fight at hand, it doesn't really matter. You could think that if you want, but I also think it also works for him to just be like, seeing how timelines would play out. I think the master of the mystic arts should be able to see timelines and the way they work out, even if the TVA doesn't show up. Like, he can see what it would happen, and then he makes his decision. You know what I mean? Potentially.
The problem, though, that I have with Strange looking forward, like, it sounds great. The 14,605,000 sounds great. Sounds like an awesome thing, because like, he's smart enough that he would be able to keep track of all of them and like pick out the one that makes the most sense as far as like, the right sequence of events happening and like putting everything together to make that happen.
Mm-hmm.
But he needs the time stone to look forward or backward. Right?
Mm-hmm.
And he needs the time stone in order to manipulate time locally, whatever. How does he know that the one sequence that happened is the one that actually worked? Because he gave the time stone away. Like, he wouldn't, theoretically, he shouldn't be able to see past when he gave the time stone away, because he no longer has control of the device to look through time with.
He uses the time stone in that prior moment to look forward at the timeline, and he's already seen what will happen because he's using it in the past. He is looking at what will happen if he gives it away. Then he sees the full sequence of events. Presumably, when he uses that ability, he could look past his own life. He could look past everything.
Right, but like, the Ancient One was trying to look for the sequence of events that did not end with her death. But she couldn't get past that. Like, it was always, like, that's that fixed point in time kind of thing, right?
Yeah, I can't remember her.
She said, like, I could never see past this moment, is what she was saying.
Because she was dying. So maybe that is the trick. You can't see past your own life. Interesting. I don't know.
But, like, that doesn't... I'm struggling with this, because, like, it all depends on how the time stone actually works for seeing. Are you outside of the timeline, or are you just experiencing it and then rolling it back?
Oh, I think you're just
what we
looking
had
at it.
At the end of Doctor Strange was he experienced it over and over and over.
Yeah, I think those are just two different abilities of the Time Stone. I don't think he lived out those 14 million possibilities. I think that he was viewing them, kind of like when he like viewed the book and he was like flipping the pages quickly or whatever, like to read the books faster and stuff. Like, I think he's doing that, but with the timeline. You know, like he's like looking at 14 million timelines. He's not.
He didn't do books with the time stone.
Oh yeah.
Like, the only thing that he did with the book with a book with the time stone was to put pages back to like restore the lost pages that were torn out of the Book of Cagliostro.
Could have sworn he did like some sort of, maybe, I don't know if it was time stone. Could have sworn he did something to like learn faster. Or maybe he was sleeping.
He was using astral projection.
Yeah, that's right. He was sleeping and using astral projection to learn even while he was sleeping. That's right. And he had like a bunch of books out and stuff while he was at. Yeah, that's right. I just remembered him like using his powers to learn faster, and I was thinking it was something to do with that.
Oh man, it'd be so great if like I didn't have to sleep.
Right? Golly, I was telling you before we got on, like time is my like time and at this point square footage, as you said, is like my two things that are like my limiting factors in my life. I got this house that is very nice and has lots of space, but like it is so hard to fit all the houses that had to combine to be here. It's so hard to fit everybody in, everybody's stuff in, and trying to like figure out a place where all the furniture and all that stuff.
Might need to do some pruning.
Yeah, we're trying.
The house loom.
I was like, my mom, we were moving her in, and we went down. I went down to Prattville to like pack up all her house, right?
Pruner.
Just pruner. No, I was packing up her house, getting it ready, and like the whole time I kept being like, do you want this? Like a lot of it was like, do you want this? You need to throw things away. Like we need to get rid of...
you were doing an episode of Hoarders on her.
Basically, but you know, she's no way a hoarder, like, but she has a lot of stuff because it's her whole life. And I get not wanting to get rid of things, but a lot of things like she would want were like not special things. They were just like a magazine from the 80s or whatever. Like it was like, do you need this? Like, what are you going to throw away? And so many things I kept being like, are you sure? This is all got to go in the new house. And like, the space is not that big. And so anyway, so she said no, and she kept like a lot of stuff. And so then we got it all in the house and put all the boxes in her space, and like they're stacked up everywhere. And then the next day I was like, you ready to go through a box? And she's like, yeah. And then she was like, throw it away. And I was like, okay, so you just wanted me to move it to Birmingham so then you'd see what it looked like so you'd throw it away. Like you could have just thrown it away and we would have been done with this. But now we're going to spend the next like 2 months going through boxes and you doing, oh yeah, the thing you were recommending I throw away 2 months ago, now we'll throw it away.
Yeah, she just needed to sit and think on it. That's all. You just wanted me to move it and then throw it away. There's nice garbage cans up north. I don't know why your mom has a like very heavy New England accent.
Yeah, it was up north, you know.
Yeah, nice garbage cans up there.
She wanted me to take like 6 van loads instead of 2. Like she just really wanted me to go back and forth to Prattville as many times as possible.
Yeah, I get it.
Quite annoying, my friend. All right, what's up next?
Andre Sparks, another patron, says, so I heard Matt and Jeff giving all their theories for the Agatha show, and I thought of something. What if the show starts out with Agatha still in the spell from Wanda, but then at the end of the first episode, she gets let go from the spell because Wanda died in Multiverse of Madness? The real premise of the show is Agatha going after the Darkhold, but gets pulled inside the book and goes through all the lives of the people who have ever had the Darkhold. Then at the end of the series, we learned that Wanda isn't dead, she just went inside the book. I think that would be dope. What do you guys think? I know we have 10 months to theorize. Keep up the good work, Andre.
10 months to theorize, and we don't have a trailer yet. So it's like, we don't even know what we're theorizing about.
Wanda destroyed the Darkhold in every universe, though.
That's true.
Theoretically. That's an immense amount of power.
Indeed.
If you think about, like, she destroyed an infinite number of books.
Yeah. That is.
Which, I mean, Ray Bradbury would be real proud.
Yeah.
Like,
So the theory he's saying is that like she goes into the book after, but yeah, if she's in the book, then she would be destroyed, right? Because she destroyed all the books.
Well, it depends on what happens when the book is destroyed. You know,
right.
Is it like everything inside is destroyed, or it just all comes spilling out, like everything that was imprisoned or whatever?
Right. Well, we found out in Multiverse of Madness that it wasn't even the book that was the book. The book was the mountain, and like the place.
Yeah, the book was a copy
of
and the mountain was like where the actual like inscriptions were pulled from.
Yeah, which makes sense. A dark hold, like, you know.
I like it.
Yeah, totally. So
Mount Wundagore.
Yeah. So I don't know. I definitely like the idea of finding out Wanda's kicking around in some form. I think it would be really, really cool if she showed up on the show. But there's been some speculation and news reports that or like rumors that she might show up. But I also think like it looks like a lot of the show is happening in the time of WandaVision. Like flashbacks and stuff to that time.
Yeah.
So I think if she does show up, it's very possible she'll just show up in that setting, like as a part of that storyline we've already seen her go through.
I like the idea that we had of like Agatha, or like the show, or the flashbacks at least, are just like Agatha working behind the scenes and like trying to get something done and then being yanked back to, you know, oh, I have to walk into the house at this point. Like, I've got a scene, so I have to stop everything that I was doing and go handle that.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I'm coming back to this.
I like that too. And I think it very well could be that a lot of the scenes in WandaVision are just the sort of behind the scenes, how she was getting around and what she was doing. And also, like, it seems like there's going to be other witches involved. Like, we know that Agatha was drawn to Westview because of the immense amount of power or whatever, right? So what if, you know, we know these other witches, what if other witches were also in the town and like we sort of see the like drama of all of them playing out, you know what I mean? Like there are other witches that are involved, maybe even some of them we know or have met in WandaVision Season 1, but they were also sort of under her spell or whatever.
Yeah, but they weren't powerful enough to get out the way that Agatha was, because Agatha had absorbed enough power, I guess.
Yeah, or they were just defeated. Like maybe they were all kind of doing the same thing. Like, oh, all this magic, all this power is here. We can go here and get it. But like then it's sort of like Wanda's so caught up in her grief that she's not even seeing all the magic users around her, like striving for like the throne or whatever. Like they're all having their own Game of Thrones sort of situation with all these witches and wizards like fighting for the power that she has, you know?
Game of Cauldrons. No. Oh, no. The Wicker Throne. It's made out of broomsticks from all the dead witches.
Oh, man. The broomsticks is pretty good. You know, none of those thrones ever seem very comfortable. Made out of knives, made out of broomsticks. The splinters abound.
Right? Like, you were going to cut yourself on that throne, the Iron Throne being made out of swords.
100%. But you know what is comfortable, Jeff?
Oh, man, Miracle Made sheets.
That's right, Miracle Made sheets. That's right. So I've never had a like preferred set of sheets before. Really haven't.
Yeah, I just haven't really cared. It's like, oh, it's something on the bed I roll around.
Yeah, and I'm just happy to have two. If I can get two full sets, so that when one gets dirty, I can swap it out and wash the other one, and have the next one ready. This is the first time in my life where I have a set of sheets that I like so much that when it's time to wash, like I want to wash them and put them back on. Like I don't want to use my other sheets anymore. And I need to get more sets of these Miracle Made sheets. They are amazing.
They're a miracle.
They are. It's like magic.
I want to get more stuff from Miracle Made, like their towels, all of the various other silver infused things that were inspired by NASA.
Yes,
I love the idea, because like we had an ad like years ago where I ended up getting a shirt that was silver infused, and I still have that shirt. I love that shirt. So they have like sheets that are the same way. It's like, oh yes, give me that. Yeah,
the silver infused nature of these things are awesome. NASA inspired, as Jess said. They're made to be thermoregulating and designed to keep you at a perfect temperature all night long, so you get a better night's sleep. The silver also is makes the sheets self-cleaning. They prevent up to 99.7% of bacterial growth, leaving them to stay cleaner and fresh 3 times longer than other sheets. No more gross odors.
When I read that, I was like, that seems like a bold claim for these silver-infused things. I looked up the science on it, and I thought that maybe it was like silver is like the most conductive metal on the planet, and maybe like it makes the electrostatic discharge happen to bacteria and like shocks them to death. No, it's better. Silver, the ionic silver particles actually tear the cellular lining of bacteria. So it basically eviscerates bacteria.
Oh, wow.
So that they cannot grow.
That's awesome.
Like, that is so metal.
That is so metal. If you want to fight a real battle against bacteria, like have a war, like Lord of the Rings style war happening on your sheets at all times, where bacteria like orcs are being rended,
cut in half, torn asunder.
Get Miracle sheets. They're also luxurious. They really do. They feel like you're at a fancy hotel. I really, really like Miracle sheets. Go to trymiracle.com/MCU to try it today, or gift to someone special this holiday season. And we've got a special deal for our listeners. Save over 40%, and if you use our promo code MCU at checkout, you'll get 3 free towels and save an extra 20%.
I'm going to go do that right now.
Yeah, you just said, I need another thing of sheets. You need the towels. Miracle is so confident in their product. It's backed by a 30-day money-back guarantee, so if you aren't 100% satisfied, you'll get a refund.
Upgrade your sleep with Miracle Made. Go to trymiracle.com/MCU and use the code MCU to claim your free 3-piece towel set and save over 40% off. Again, that's trymiracle.com/MCU to treat yourself, a friend, or a loved one this holiday season.
Sleep less smelly, be all comfy. You gotta do it, guys. Gotta do it.
Good for your skin.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so next up we've got Patrick O'Reilly saying, hello! There's a lot of O's on it. Matt, Jeff, and Ashley. First time writing in, felt the need to ask your opinion on the news that Marvel seemingly confirms Wanda's death at the end of Multiverse of Madness. Thoughts, outbursts, or is it the right decision with the direction the MCU is going? I need more friends to discuss all things Marvel, and you all are my outlet. Love you 3000, Patrick.
That was in that book. They confirmed it in that like Marvel timeline book.
I feel like it still wasn't confirmed though.
Okay.
Like based on the text, it's still kind of like you're leaving it open.
Right. I think that's the thing. I think it's still open. Like she's presumed dead. What does it say? What's the text say?
It says like seemingly ending the threat.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, you used seemingly, did you?
Yeah, well, if that's all it is, then yeah, I don't know. I heard that it was a little more definitive than that, but still left a little wiggle room. So I think it's very possible she's not actually dead. But if she is, even if she is or isn't, I think it's the right call for it to be in that book that she is, because like at this moment, I think we're supposed to presume that she is dead. If she shows up again, it needs to be a surprise. And I think we might be done with that version of Wanda, but we know there are other versions that we've already met that might show up again.
Yeah. Like there's other, like the 838 version. There's presumably there's like
Zombie
a bunch
Wanda.
of different versions. Oh, Zombie Wanda! Oh, give me Zombie Wanda back!
Give me live action Zombie Wanda, please.
God, live action Zombie Wanda would be so great.
Yeah, it would.
Oh, and we're supposedly getting Marvel Zombies as a series eventually. You know.
Oh yeah.
They gave us that logo.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be just like the animated What If. So like that's gonna be really cool.
Yes.
But I don't know that. I don't know that Wanda is dead because there was that red burst at the end.
Mm-hmm.
Mount Wundagore, the temple was collapsing, and then there was that red burst from it, as if the chaos magic popped.
Yeah, I thought that was supposed to represent her destroying all the books across every timeline. That's like the power going out. But like, yeah,
she did that before.
Okay,
like Doctor Strange said before that, he's like, she destroyed the Darkhold in every dimension.
Okay.
Okay, how do you know that though? Like, how did you confirm that?
Yeah, it does seem weird. I need to rewatch the end of that. Yeah, but it's it just didn't seem like what the mountain falling on her does not seem like enough to confirm that the Scarlet Witch is dead. You know what I mean? She's like this powerful master of sorcery and like just some rocks. I don't think it's kind of like everyone talked about with was it like Captain Marvel in 838 gets some rocks fall on her and everyone's like, she's dead. What?
Yeah.
What are you talking about?
Oh, yeah, it was the statue.
Fell on her. The statue fell on her, and that was the end of that version of Marie Rambeau. And it's like, why? Like, if she's like binary or whatever, like, why?
Yeah,
maybe stunned for a minute. I don't see why she's dead.
Yeah, and like, I guess there's a few things that are like, this character's way too powerful to go out like that. They're not actually gone. We'll just have to wait and see.
Yeah, for sure.
We'll wait and see. I'm looking forward to Mephisto coming back and telling us how things are.
Yeah, coming back.
And bringing Wanda with him. I'm like, how far can I stretch this Mephisto thing? Like, can I just one more thing? Just one more thing.
Just give it all to Mephisto.
Yep. It's all been Mephisto the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Jake Waters says, "Hi all. With the writers and actor strike having come to an end, there's something I wanted to share with you and hopefully get your take on it. I think we can all agree that since Avengers Endgame, and I guess technically Far From Home, the MCU has been on a bit of a roller coaster ride with its releases. I enjoyed some more than others, while at the same time found myself disliking some projects more than I thought possible with MCU content. Anyways, moving on to my point, I personally feel like there has been a writing problem as of late in the MCU. I cannot say for sure whether it is from a supervisor standpoint, like Feige, or writers and talent, or working timetable, etc. standpoint, but the point is, the stories have just not felt fully fleshed out. I think it's fair to say we all look at films such as these after seeing them and think, oh, what if they had done this or that, or, but overall I feel like the story was good and made sense. Lately, however, I feel like I'm imagining even the blandest changes just to give the stories more grounding or nuance or ethos or pathos or overall oomph. I also think I find myself just wanting projects to be more adult and not in that way, guys, but taking a more serious tone and not undercutting with comedy the way a lot of the MCU has been doing. Now, I do believe there is some hope here. I think the new DCU is going to thrive under James Gunn. This is good news because the MCU has been left unchecked for too long, and I'm afraid they've grown somewhat complacent and know that we'll go see whatever they put out. If the DCU goes well and gets more traction and starts being an actual competitor to Marvel, then Marvel will have to dig in and do better for themselves, so fingers crossed on that one. Looking forward to hearing you guys discuss Loki, and as always, sorry for the long feedback. Love y'all 3000, Big Red Panda. Jake Watts.
And as always, sorry for the long feedback. I like that. I've been trying to teach Skylar about apologies and how, like, what a component of an apology is, like, understanding what you did wrong and then striving not to do it again.
Yeah.
So,
maybe coming with a way to fix it.
Yeah. Come on, Jake. Sorry, as always, for the long feedback.
You knew you were gonna do it.
Just teasing you, Jake. No, it wasn't that long. Yeah, I definitely think there have been some issues, and that we've talked about it ad nauseum. I think a lot of what I'm feeling lately is, and I don't know if there's a good way to fix it because I don't know. Like, we watching Phase 1 as we've been doing while watching the Marvels. Like, it just feels like they're making this stuff for a generation with shorter attention spans. Like, it kind of feels like the Marvels needs to keep moving the whole time. Same thing with Thor Ragnarok. Same thing with Thor Love and Thunder. I think a lot of the movies have, and I mean, I think, No Way Home is an example of that movie's really fun, but it does have quiet moments, like when they're sitting around in the lab talking or sitting on the rooftops. Like, I think, and I don't think it's that widespread. I think that Marvel is getting a bad rep, partially because like people are noticing when there's bad things, and I think in the past like it got a lot more passes, but after Endgame, the bar was set so high that everything that comes out, we expect it to have the thoughtfulness and the like credibility and the
care.
Yeah, and the care that Endgame had, and not every Marvel project has that, including phases 1 through 3, you know?
Yeah. Well, like Endgame had the amount of, or the special care and attention for every story, every character that has been in there so far, especially all the major ones. Like, they had to do right by all of them to kind of end that major arc. And like all of the phase 4 things and phase 5 things are just setting up that new saga. Right. So like, if we treat these more like phase 1 properties, then maybe, you know, it's like managing our expectations. Like, not only that, but also like the tone of each of the things from phases 1, 2, potentially 3 were all roughly similar. Like, there were some genre differences, but they were all kind of sort of the same. Not like not the way that like Kamala Khan is, or the Miss Marvel series is like vastly different from like Falcon and the Winter Soldier or Moon Knight. And then like that's even more different from She-Hulk. And like all of these properties are in such wildly different genres that it's like, it's hard to really compare them to each other or in the same way.
Yeah.
And like, it feels like Marvel's branching out into like broader genres, and like, you know, they're trying new things, and some of them just kind of aren't working. Some of them do work really well. And you know, it really just depends on your taste, I guess.
Yeah. And looking at it that way, maybe all of this is not bad, because you have the first, you know, I think that Marvel in the very beginning experimented with two tones. There was Incredible Hulk and Iron Man. They came out a month apart. They were drastically different, and Iron Man is what hit. And then basically all of the Infinity Saga is kind of modeled after that. Action adventure, but keeping it light. Have some quiet, have some depth, have some quiet moments, but for the most part, keep it zippy, light, fun. Keep the characters quippy, and like it became kind of a like almost like a stereotype, the Marvel tone, you know, that sort of like the Marvelification of cinema, and that meant two things. When people say that, they mean two things. Sometimes they mean both, and sometimes they mean one or the other. They mean the sort of like connected universe, which is obvious, but they also sometimes just mean like it knowing what it is to the point of irony, where like the characters themselves are sort of ironic and sort of like putting their tongue in their cheek all the time, which like I love. People make fun of it because it's like they're not taking the moment seriously, but I just like, okay, I'm gonna get weirdly serious. My sister passed away a few years ago, and like we were all in the funeral.
It's pretty serious.
Yeah, we're all in the funeral home, and we got on a few tears where we were just telling stories and laughing, and it was the most weird funeral because we were all telling stories and sort of like commiserating, but it ended up being like a kind of an uproarious funeral. Like we were like, there's a lot of laughter and a lot of like you know, commiserating, but there's laughter in that moment of misery, you know, in that moment of tragedy, and like. So when people say like, when people make jokes in these movies, it kind of undercuts the entire, the serious moments. I don't think that's always true. I think it matters what we talked about it during our coverage of Captain America last week. It's like when Erskine says, well, I don't have a surgery tomorrow, and he dumps the extra booze in his cup. It's like, that's a perfect joke, because that's exactly the joke that guy would make in that moment. You know what I mean? And I do think that like some of the stuff, probably some of the stuff in She-Hulk, which gets a pass because it's like breaking the fourth wall, but also some of the stuff in Ragnarok and some of the stuff in the Marvels, some of those jokes are like not exactly the joke that character would make in that moment. It's like you're trying to keep that.
Like they don't feel authentic.
Yeah, they don't feel authentic to the character. And so they're trying to keep the tone light, but there's a bit of artifice between the character and like their experience in that moment, where the character is like commenting on the story, and it takes a really interesting character to be able to do that well. That's kind of the beauty of Tony is kind of smart enough. He's not breaking the fourth wall, but he is always commenting on what is going on. You know what I mean? And that gives him that almost like narrative power, where he's like narrating what people are doing around him. And it's kind of that's what provides a lot of his humor.
That real meta perspective.
Yeah, he does. And like, I think that helped. I don't think we have that character right now, except for She-Hulk, of course, and Deadpool coming.
Yeah, I think that definitely helps the character to, like, kind of allow them to be quippy.
Mm-hmm.
To allow them to make fun of the situation, because, like, perfect example. In the scene in Avengers Age of Ultron, in the scene where they find out, or like the team finds out that Tony made Ultron and like had gone ahead with it. When Tony is laughing, he's laughing at the absurdity of all of it. And everybody else is super serious and like, why are you laughing about this? He's like, this is absurd. This is absolutely bonkers absurd. Like, there's no way this makes any sense. We were so far from a solution. Like, this doesn't, like, this situation is insane. And like has that kind of like outside looking in perspective on the situation, and can talk about it like that because of how intelligent he is, how like ahead, you know, mentally he is, above everything, or above, or in front of everyone else. Like, I feel like that's Tony kind of in a nutshell, is like that. Like, why is he laughing? Oh, it's because he knows just how crazy all this is.
Yeah. I think that's true. I think he just has a different perspective on life, and a sort of unaffected by the world around him. He's still seeing everything. You know what I mean? Like, there's certain characters that like can't see beyond the fight they're having. That's not Tony. Tony always sees beyond the fight he's having. He always sees like kind of what is going on around him, who the characters are. Despite I feel like Cap is a lot more like he's fighting the bully in front of him. You know what I mean? Like that's where his mind is. His mind is in this moment. Tony's mind is very rarely in the moment. You know. And I think those moments, like you're talking about, where he's laughing maniacally and it's kind of crazy, like response to this like crazy situation, is because in that moment, something so shocking happens to him that he is in that moment. He's like, oh man, like what is happening right now? Like, this is crazy. Like I with all of my brain power, I am being sucked into this moment and having to deal with a thing that is in front of me, and I don't even know what to do about it. You know, I think there's Tony's such a good character, man.
There is like, you keep saying that Ragnarok doesn't take any moments to like slow down and like deal with the weight of the situation, but I have to watch it again, because I feel like there is at least one scene that's like really good at that, where you know, Thor is in the it's not a prison. Korg called it the circle. He's like, it's a weird circle. But he was sitting there with, you know, Doug, leaned up against the wall or whatever. And like, he was sitting there, and Loki showed up in hologram form, whatever, magic form, and is like talking to Thor about what happened. He's like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what am I supposed to do? I'm here. You're not. Our dad is dead, our mom is dead, like my hammer's gone, like everything that I've known has fallen out from under me in like 5 minutes. What am I supposed to do? I have to just push on. And like, he gets real with the feelings there, but like, he's still, you know, he's doing the funny thing of like throwing rocks at Loki's his ghost form or whatever. And, Korg runs up and, piss off, Ghost!
Yeah.
But, like, he gets really serious in that moment and, like, and takes that moment to, like, really talk about how he's supposed to feel and, like, how he's supposed to deal with that tragedy.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a great thing that Ragnarok did for that one scene at the very least.
Yeah, no, I think there are some really beautiful moments in Ragnarok. I just think the whiplash is still there, just like you just said. Like it's like this beautiful moment, and instead of kind of letting that beautiful moment live out and be the end of the scene, and then move on to the fighting Hulk scene or whatever, like that's kind of what happens next. It has to have the piss off Ghost, like it just kind of like.
Well, yeah, if they had trimmed just the piss off Ghost part,
which is a great joke, and I wouldn't want it to be trimmed. I love it, but
it would let that weight sit.
Yeah, it unweights that scene a little bit. It's really interesting. You're talking about the perspective of Thor, and we're talking about the perspective of Tony and how they talk, and I do. I don't know. This is me again building weird rubrics to look at things with. But like, you got Tony, who's like. Cap is always looking at the thing in front of him. He feels like he's always living in the moment. He's very reactive. He just is the man he is. He deals with what comes at him. You know what I mean?
Yep.
And then you've got Tony, who just kind of sees everything. He's like always commenting on the past, the future, the now. Like it's all he kind of is everywhere but in the moment. Like he's dealing with what he has to deal with, but in his body. But his brain is just cooking everything. And essentially, because Thor is always looking at the future. Like, he's kind of always looking at his expectations that have been put on him. He's like, this is not what's supposed to be happening. This is not, like, when things go wrong, it's not, like, that first movie, he's supposed to be king. And when things go wrong, it's not about, like, something hit me in the face. It's like, I've lost the future that has been foretold for me. And that's what his entire arc is in the end, is like, I'm only looking at the future. Well, this is how it's supposed to be. This is how it's supposed to be. And then finally he gives it up and says, no, I got to be me, and I'm not going to be king, I think it's really, really interesting to think about. Like, from a writing standpoint, I don't know if that's something they've ever thought of. They think about, but like, it is very interesting that they do all have this very different temporal point of view.
Yeah. I kind of feel like the OG 6 all have a different perspective, on life in that way. Like, Tony's thinking about everything else. Cap's thinking about the thing that's right in front of him. Thor's thinking about his future. Natasha's thinking about her past.
That's what I was about to say. Natasha's thinking about the past. Yep.
Hulk and Banner, like, Banner's thinking about himself and trying to keep himself closed off.
That's true.
And then, like, what's Hawkeye thinking about?
Oh, he's like
his kids?
He's the den mom. He's kind of thinking about everybody else, and like, just trying to make it all happen. I don't know. I don't, like I said, that's why what I said when
it's an imperfect analogy. I really like it.
For one thing, when we're talking about past, present, future, and then Tony thinks about everything, that's 4. You can't really get, there's 6 of them though. So it's just not like we're going to come up with the perfect way to look at this.
There's only so much to think about.
Yeah. I do think it's interesting that they do have those, 4 of them have a pretty, like, specific temporal point of view. And
Cap looks at the enemy that's right in front of him. Hawkeye's looking at the enemies that are far away.
Well, see, and that's that when you say right in front of him, you're using the same phrase I'm using, but you're using it differently. You're talking about distance and what they're looking at.
That's literally distance.
Yeah.
Like, Hawkeye and Cap are both like thinking in the moment, but Cap is a melee fighter and Hawkeye's ranged.
Yeah, that is a different perspective to look, but in a different way than what I'm talking about. But yes, but I mean, in a way, you could think about that. Like, Cap is a brawler. He is dealing with what comes at him in his face, And Hawkeye is a tactician. So, like, while he is still in the moment, he is dealing with things further away in a more broad sense. He's thinking about, like, 7 steps ahead. That's not Cap, though. Cap's like, I'm just going to hit this thing with my shield, you know, and, like, keep moving.
Yeah.
Fist, shield, block. Like, it's just, he just moves. And that's more of a fighting style thing.
It's all about stamina with Cap.
Yeah. He can do this
I
all
could do
day.
this all day.
Oh, man. Well, this was fun, bud. Thanks for having a tangent episode with me.
Oh, man, we tangented so hard.
We did.
We barely got through any of the feedback.
We did. We were like, we'll get through these 4 pages of feedback of like stuff that's not specific to a show or movie, and we didn't.
I was like, I'll challenge that.
Well, that was before we came up with the tangent idea in the intro and felt like we had to fulfill it.
I didn't feel like I had to fulfill it. I knew that it was going to happen.
It's true. It's me and you. It's what we do. All right. Well, thanks guys for joining us. We'll be back real soon. We're gonna have be doing our Tuesday episode that's gonna drop will be Avengers. Speaking of
OG Avengers,
yeah, very excited. Very, very excited.
Yeah, we can talk about our perspective discussion while we.
Yeah, for sure.
We do that.
For sure. We can kind of like think about.
Ashley's gonna be like, "What the hell are you talking about?"
She's like, "You said the word temporal. I'm out."
Yeah. Thinking I'm from Philly.
All right.
Was that offensive?
A little bit.
Was it mean? My bad.
Well, guys, we're the Marvel Cinemakers podcast. Find us. If you haven't yet, if you listen to this show, if you found us during Loki or whatever, give us a 5-star review or give us a whatever kind of like or review on Spotify. We really we don't say it enough, but it really helps the show grow, helps people find us. We're gonna be doing a lot of stuff over Christmas, and it would be awesome if new folks found the show because you guys were generous enough to do some 5-star reviews. So if you haven't done that yet, please do. And if you have done that, go update your 5-star review.
Do it again. Make a new account.
Borrow your brother's iPhone. Whatever. Just more 5-star reviews. Borrow all your friends' iPhones. All right. We're out of here. Peace.
Until next time, true believers.
Hey, you just listened to the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast from Stranded Panda. I really hope you liked it. Let me just say a big thank you to all of our supporters on patreon.com/MCUcast. You are the lifeblood of our little operation here, and a huge thank you to our insanely generous Illuminati tier patrons, Walter Kreisky III, Lieutenant Bongo, and Jazz Viz. You guys are amazing. If you'd like to see our beautiful faces, you can catch a video version of many of our episodes at youtube.com/strandedpanda. Love you 3000, my friends.